So the goal of the individualized achievement plan is to get our kids in the habit of creating their own goals. The difference between a dream and a reality is obviously the planning part of that journey, of that process. I noticed that a lot of our kids, we have these grand big picture dreams, but I wanted to kind of get our kids to focus in on how to make those big picture dreams less overwhelming by taking baby steps in order to achieve that ultimate goals. So the IEP process for our cohorts this year was a very interesting process. I specifically required that all of our cohorts handwrite their own IEPs. And the reason for that was, I remember growing up, my mom would sit me down at the kitchen or the living room table, and she would have me write out a to-do list. And she had me write it out specifically so I can see my own handwriting. So if I accomplished that goal for that day, for that week, or for that month, I was able to cross it off but see it in my own words. So I took that and I brought it to our cohorts. So too often our kids are being challenged to have goals be dictated to themselves, or dictated to them rather. So this process is interesting because these are goals that our cohorts set for themselves. So when I would revisit these goals maybe a week later or a month later or 3 months later, kids were able to look back and say, well, I accomplished that, and that's something that I did on my own. I did that, not necessarily on my own, but I did it with the guidance of others, but this was my goal that I set for myself. So I think that's part of the process that they most enjoy. Something that they can see in their own handwriting, and something for them to take ownership of.
Track the ball, and stop. Okay, popped up a little bit.
So we have 4 identified benchmarks in our IEP. We have our education benchmark, we have our community service learning benchmark, we have our health and nutrition benchmark, and we also have our tennis benchmark. This summer we were pleased to announce our partnership with the Philadelphia Tennis Club, which is the oldest African-American owned and operated tennis club in the country. And we specifically designed this program to be somewhat of a boot camp. For a lot of our kids, this is their first time experiencing a tennis camp, much less a high-performance tennis camp. We were Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, and played a lot of tennis. And a lot of our kids weren't used to playing so much tennis, but again, we always refer back to our IEPs. The majority of our kids who are a part of this very specialized program want to go on to play college tennis. They want to go on to possibly even become professional tennis players. And we kept on reminding them that these are the steps it takes in order to get to that desired goal. So that was constantly revisited through informal team time with our kids, through walks from the court down to the lunchroom. So the IEP was a part of summer programming organically.
That I want in tennis to take me to college as a D1 player.
So I'm pleased to announce that there are several kids from our boot camp this summer who will be enrolled in our high performance tennis programming here at the center. And I just could not be prouder of them. But I'm looking forward more to having some of the kids where they've come from be able to see that through hard work and goal setting and attaining your goals, this is where you can be also. So what we're doing here is we're really truly changing the game.